the Deadpool and Wolverine update brought in a lot of returning players. And we don't often make videos targeted at returning players here on the channel, but I was actually inundated with requests to make one. So I took a bit of time to think about it and research a little bit, and I've come up with, I think, what is probably a good guide and a good starting off point if you are a returning player and you are lost as to what you should be focusing on. Now, again, this is just my opinion, so you're welcome to do things differently, of course, and this is not going to be an absolutely exhaustive guide because I don't want to go like game mode through game mode. This is not like a refresher course, like what is Marvel Future Fight? That's completely different. If you want something like that, you're gonna have to find it somewhere else, or just like watch a live stream maybe of someone doing their dailies. There's a lot of channels that do that now, so you can get a hang of it, or you can watch my live stream. Usually during a big update, I do my dailies, so you can see most of that. But anyways, what I want to focus on instead is like how you should approach maybe your return to the game, because it can certainly feel very overwhelming when you return to a game like Marvel Future Fight. There's so many characters, there's so much to do, so much to catch up on. So I think there is a balance that needs to be struck. Again, you might be the player that doesn't need that kind of balance. You can just go balls to the walls. But I think a lot of players get overwhelmed. They set too many goals, they don't reach them, or they get bored, and then they quit after a couple of weeks. So I'm making this video to basically try to avoid that. If you're someone who that happens to, and this has happened to you multiple times, you know, keep watching, whatever. And if you think this might happen to you, then let's go. So first thing I think you need to do is just pick about 4 to 5 characters. This might be a little bit reported, like underestimated. Maybe 4 or 5 is not enough, but I'm just starting small because I know a lot of players, and I've seen the shift for sure in the devs to work more on, and players like more of the native tier 2, native tier 3 variety characters. They're much harder and they take much longer to build than native tier 1 characters. So I'll leave it at 4 to 5 characters. You can sort of be the judge of that. If you think you're going to chew through that too quickly, you can choose a few more characters, or if you think that's too many, you can choose 1 or 2 less. But again, I wouldn't try to build out, like, don't go too wide like a pancake. I would say focus on 4 to 5 characters. My guess, or my estimation, is about 3 DPS characters. Again, you're going to have to do some research to figure out what I mean by a DPS character, but I'm sure you can do that. And then 1 to 2 support characters. So yeah, I'd go like 3 or 4 DPS, and then 1 or 2 support characters. And then just build them up. And obviously, for the most part, that's going to require buying their uniform. In other parts of the video, you may think, oh, well, I need to buy that character's uniform. Well, that's why it's best, if you haven't already returned to the game, to return during a uniform sale. Now, obviously, the Anniversary and Black Friday have the best uniform sales, so those are the ones where you're going to have 50% off. But even if you're just joining during a 40% off sale, they only happen for a week every 5 weeks, so you do have to kind of time your entry a little bit. But if it doesn't happen in that sense, and you're there like in between, you can sort of just try to hang on until the next sale. But yeah, so I would focus on 4 to 5 characters, and then I would try to get, I would focus on speeding up to clear World Boss Legend 5 times a day ASAP. And if you haven't been keeping up with the news, there is heavy speculation that Null and Symbiotes are going to be part of the next update. So even more emphasis is being placed on that right now for players in the game, to be able to unlock Null, have him there sitting on your account at 1 star. If you really like him, start saving up your resources. But just being able to beat any of the World Boss Legends 5 times a day is huge, because this is going to be your main source of tier 4 materials and your main source of CCF to tier 3 new characters. And it's also an easy pity now for a book every 2 days. You can see mine is flashing down there. So you're guaranteed to be able to tier 3 a character every 20 days, right? Even worst case scenario, it's no longer possible to go more than just under 3 weeks without being able to tier 3 a new character. It's now physically impossible unless you're just not logging into the game, not playing the game, etc. If you're not playing the game, then I have another tip for you. Perhaps you can consider coming back again. And I know this is kind of silly, because for a lot of you returning players, you're probably thinking, well, I already got this new agent special check-in, and that's fine. Okay, so if you already got this one and you know what I'm talking about, then sure. But if you've never gotten this new agent special check-in, now is not a bad time to get it. You're going to need to stop logging in for 15 days, but I checked the calendar, I did the math. The game is going to be pretty much dead for 10 days. Because this week starting, we're going to get sneak peeks, probably starting on like the 28th, the 29th. We're going to get sneak peeks for the next update. And then the next update's going to land on the night of the 3rd or the 4th. So today's the 25th. So if it lands on the 4th for you, that is 7, 8, 9, that's 10 days. So it's 9 or 10 days. That's 2/3 of your 15-day hiatus in order to secure all of these rewards. And these rewards are very good. Look at this. On day 7, you get a Mega Tier 2 ticket. On day 90, you get a Tier 3 selector. You get a bunch of gold. You get a potential enhanced selector. You get a free P card on the 30th day. Now, sure, you have to log in for 90 days to get all of these rewards. And I'm telling you, if you're not logging in consistently, go skip logging in for 15 days. I understand that it's a bit of a paradox. It's a bit of a, like, you know, you're encouraging people not to play, and then they're being told that they need to play for 90 days. But it's sort of tough because I see a lot of players out there who are just not that motivated to play, and it's a difficult thing to give advice on because you don't want to give players too much to look forward to or to do, but you also don't want to give them too much wiggle room because then they're just going to not know what to do and they're going to fizzle out. So that's what I'm saying. Focus on 4 to 5 characters. Set World Boss Legend as your first goal, as your first immediate goal. Try to rush to do that. If you want a little bit more of a challenge on World Boss Legend, if it's not that difficult, then I would say focus on only farming the latest 3 bosses, which are Jean, Kang, and then Black Swan. And the unlock requirements for World Boss Legend is easier than ever, so you shouldn't have too much difficulty there. But yeah, you can focus on those 3 bosses to get more rewards. But that's what I would do. I wouldn't try to play the game at like max efficiency every single day if that's something that's gonna tire you out, burn you out, or make you bored. Because again, in that case, if you're not going to play, you know, log in, right? Special check-in is your best friend. So yeah. If you're struggling, just very quickly, if you're struggling to clear World Boss Legend, focus on improving your cards. Make sure that you're in a level 30 alliance. That's huge. And then, you know, watch guides. Furthermore, if you're still struggling, watch guides on character building or watch guides on like World Boss tips and tricks and sort of game mechanics. And then there are a bunch of one-time grinds that you can do in the game to just accelerate your rewards and give you new things that you can farm daily with just clear tickets, just like very, very quickly. So the first one that I always harp on, that I'm always, you know, ready to glaze, is dispatch. Get through the dispatch missions. I have a video, 100% dispatch challenge guide, so that you can do all of the dispatch challenges. There's 3 dispatch challenges per stage, and there's 5 dispatch stages per sector. So you have a lot of challenges to get through, but that is going to give you a bunch of passive rewards. It's those little blue pips that are noted by those challenges right there. So those are one-time rewards that you should absolutely try to grind out as many of them as you can, especially if you took a long break from the game and maybe you skipped tier 4 or whatever, or you skipped some of the more recent tier 4s. There's a whole bunch of power that you can gain now by just tier 4ing a character. Like Wolverine or Deadpool or whatever, and they might be able to just carry you through a bunch of dispatch quests that you never even tried, as long as they, you know, match the requirement. Like if they're, you know, they have the strong ability, or if they're males or whatever. I mean, obviously Deadpool can't clear the Wenwu stage quest for you, but it is what it is. He can't be Deadpool and Wenwu. Also clearing one-time Multiverse Saga. I was talking to somebody on a stream the other day, and I was like, "Have you done Multiverse Saga?" They're like, "No, I don't know what that is." What do you mean? It's right there. It's literally on the first tab. You cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid it because you have to press the enter button at some point, and it's gonna smash you right in the face. So go and do the Multiverse Saga. It's super easy. This is like a chiller version of the Epic Quest. Just go and grind through this because it'll allow you to grind this boss stage 5 times a day. So it gives you a brand new character for free. It allows you to farm this shit, which is really useful for emblems. And then it'll give you a bunch of emblems for free as you go ahead and grind through. Now, sure, are there some rare emblems here that I still haven't farmed? And I've been doing this every single day since they came out? Sure. But I have most of the other ones. And more importantly, I'm building up my stockpile of emblems and emblem data that I'll be able to use to either buff World Boss to make World Boss easier for you, because that's one of the 3 categories right now. Or you could save it for later when something else comes out that you're more interested in, for a game mode that you're more interested in. Speaking of game modes, stay away from PvP. This is a piece of advice I don't often give, but I actually think it's important. If you're a returning player, PvP is kind of a clusterfuck, and it can be very demoralizing to return to the game, to try to build a PvP team. Let's say you spend a couple of weeks doing that, and then you go into timeline battle, you go into otherworld battle, and you just get slapped around. Or the characters that you want to use are debuffed. Listen, I know it's frustrating. I'm not going to say anything. I think the debuff lists are really good, but all of this stuff benefits active players. It benefits the long-term players who have, you know, shown their longevity to the game, veterans. PvP doesn't really do anything for returning players, and PvP kind of punishes returning players. So I would say unless you love PvP and unless you are very staunchly, you know, motivated and you're not going to be grinded down by loss after loss, if that's not you, bro, just stay away. Just stay away from PvP for a while. I see players come in and they're like, man, I'm really excited to get back to MFF. I'm going to build my Wolverine and I'm going to be a PvP god. Brother, it took me like 4 years to build my roster for PvP specifically. I had to change my cards around. I had to change my character builds around. I had to go and grind. I had to go and farm new CTPs, farm with my credit card. You know, it took a lot of time and it took money. So if you don't have both of those things, then it's probably not worth it. You know, it's probably not worth it. Just hedge your bets. Maybe build your character more hybrid so you can do other things with them, so you don't feel like you spent all that time building them and then you're like, oh, I can't use them, and then you just feel like you wasted that time, and then you're more likely psychologically to quit. Again, it's not like I gain anything from you guys playing this game versus quitting. It's not like I'm anti-quitting or whatever. It just sucks to see people like come back to a game that they love, or that they liked at some point, but they don't really take the right route for themselves, and then they end up just like wasting a week of time playing. This has happened to me in other games. And it's frustrating, and I wish maybe I had somebody or some guide or whatever telling me, you know, maybe steer clear of that for now, come back to it later if you're still enjoying the game, right? If you come back to the game, if you come back to MFF and you play it for like a few months and you're having a blast, yeah, then you can look at PvP for sure. But PvP is such a punishing game mode. It's honestly not worth it unless you really love the game deep down. For like sort of like pseudo one-time grinds, the epic quests. Finish as many of these as possible if you haven't already, but particular focus should be given to the X-Men epic quest, the X-Force epic quest, the Dark Reign epic quest with Sentry, this one right here, and then maybe if you want the First Family. I say this because we know next year there's going to be a Fantastic Four movie. For sure they're going to get new uniforms. For sure they're going to be meta. They did Doom so dirty this time around, but obviously RDJ is confirmed as Doom now. So we're 100% going to get at least one RDJ Doom uniform, if not like 7, you know, synergy uniforms, because you know how Marvel Future Fight loves to milk the MCU content. So they'll definitely be meta next year. I just put it as the 4th rather than the first option because you're not going to get much value out of it now. You're going to have to basically wait. In addition to this, I want to point out, a lot of people forget the epic quest have these like one-time rewards that you could farm. So if you're looking for something to kind of grind for like a big one-time reward, you have the Mega Uniform ticket here from the Eternals quest. On the X-Men quest, you have the Mega Rank Up ticket from the Beast quest, and then the X-Force one from the Colossus Bios, I believe, or something like that. You have the Mythic Uniform upgrade ticket. So don't forget about those one-time grinds. They're not bad. Also doing your one-time grind of Shadowland, getting to stage 135. You can see the updated rewards here. You have like really good rewards from 1 to 35 that you can claim once if you've never claimed them before. There's a bunch of one-time rewards from stage 40 all the way up to 135 that you can take advantage of. So you have some good stuff here. Rank 6 Black Antimatter is going to save you a ton of gold, 1,000 feathers, Mega Mythic Uniform upgrade ticket, Mega Tier 2 ticket, bunch of CCF, and then of course a CTP selector. So yeah, doing that as a one-time grind I think is also absolutely worth it. So yeah, those are basically my tips for returning players. This also sort of applies, I think it mostly applies to new players as well. So yeah, hopefully this helps you out. If you have further questions, of course, feel free to hit me up on the, here on the YouTube channel, in the comments, or on Discord, or on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.